For the first time in 150 years, the House of Representatives is attempting to impeach a cabinet secretary. It's just one sign of how the chaos at the southern border is spreading to Washington. CBN News White House correspondent Abigail Robertson reports.
The two impeachment articles from Republicans on the Homeland Security Committee charge that Mayorkas has committed high crimes and misdemeanors by failing to comply with federal immigration laws amid the ongoing crisis at the southern border.
There has been a willful and refusal to comply with the law and an abuse of power.
The first article specifically accuses Mayorkas with willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law for repeatedly violating immigration and border security laws throughout his career. Article 2 charges include breach of public trust for knowingly making false statements and knowingly obstructing lawful oversight of DHS. The DHS claims the impeachment is unconstitutional and evidence-free, claiming Republicans don't want to fix the problem, they want to campaign on it. House Speaker Mike Johnson says the House will hold a vote on the articles of impeachment as soon as possible. Meanwhile, in the Senate, negotiators on the highly anticipated bipartisan border deal are signaling they have a deal and the text of the bill is almost ready.
This bill could be ready to be on the floor of the United States Senate next week.
But the bill's fate in both the Senate and House is uncertain, as former President Trump speaks out against it on the campaign trail.
There is zero chance I will support this horrible open borders betrayal of America.
Senator James Lankford, the lead GOP negotiator, claims the deal makes dramatic changes to the immigration system and gives the commander-in-chief new authorities to take action at the border.
Republicans 4 months ago would not give funding for Ukraine, for Israel, and for our southern border because we demanded changes in policy. So we actually locked arms together and said, we're not going to give you money for this. We want a change in law. And now it's interesting, a few months later, when we're finally getting to the end, they're like, oh, just kidding. I actually don't want a change in law because it's a presidential election year.
David Beer from the Cato Institute tells CBN News there are many things in the bill Trump asked for as president.
I don't understand what his strategy is, but it certainly does not accord with how he behaved when he was in office.
Oklahoma's Republican Party approved a resolution over the weekend condemning Senator Lankford for his role in the bipartisan border negotiations, claiming he's playing fast and loose with Democrats on border policy and putting the safety and security of Americans in danger. Reporting from Washington, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Well, cutting through the politics, there absolutely is a crisis at our border. We've been claiming it on this show for years, going back to the first week that Biden took office, that, well, guess what? There's a surge of immigration, illegal immigration, happening at our southern border. And it was happening in numbers that were incomprehensible, 200,000, 300,000 a month. And that adds up to 2.4 to 3.6 million people a year. There's no way social services in the United States can absorb that many people. There's no way the immigration system could do it. And it's all based on public perception and public perception internationally. There was a new president in town, and he wasn't going to enforce the immigration laws, and therefore we get to go. And so let's gather up everything we can. Let's make the long, dangerous trip. Let's put our lives at risk. Let's get to this border, because if we can get to the United States, we've come to the promised land. All that needs to happen is for the administration to say, no, we're going to stop this. We're going to deport you. We're not going to go through some sort of immigration court where you get released into the population and can travel wherever you want. And if you don't show up for your court date, so what? If it's not a crisis, can the administration please listen to the Democrat mayors whose cities are being overwhelmed with this? If they don't listen to Texas and they want to stop Texas from enforcing its own border, okay, well, can you listen to your own party? And can we stop this? It's absolutely a crisis, and it's a crisis created because the administration says we don't want to enforce the immigration laws. Let's understand the basics of the problem. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. What part of illegal don't you understand? if it's illegal to cross this way, then you need to enforce the law.